everybody, and welcome back to another episode of El Koki Otaku. Today with us, we have a very special guest. She voices the ever hilarious Rae Taylor in I'm in Love with the Villainess. She also voices Aoi Inuyama in Laid Back Camp, and Saint Cecilia in Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence. And I want to, she also voices quite a few, but I do want to make special mention of the cat in Spy Family. Oh, the cat, a dog, and the owner in Spy Family. We're definitely going to talk about that one. So please give it up for Hannah Alyea.
Alyea.
Yeah. Okay. I was close.
Thanks for effort. And that is all right. You know what? I had someone pronounce it all yeah, and you know what? I can't be mad at that either.
All right.
It's a pleasure.
Applause, because we forgot to do that.
The thing is, we spent 20 minute prep, and then when she had it, and when she got to the last thing, I hear like, wait.
It's intimidating. I'm not gonna lie. It's intimidating. So it's okay.
Again, thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you for being with us. It's such an honor. Let's get right down to it, because this anime is just hilarious. And from what we've heard, it's gonna get very emotional. I'm talking about none other than I'm in Love with the Villainess, in which you voice, again, the ever hilarious Rae Taylor, which, by the way, I love how she talks, because she does so many ups and downs and everything like that.
Well, it's funny because this is the character that is the most like me in everyday life. So a lot of my friends, they see this and they just look at me and go, yeah, that tracks. Yeah, that's you. So I'm very happy that the director has let me kind of be myself as this character. So it's made me very happy.
Before we even talk about your character, how would you describe I'm in Love with the Villainess? Like brief synopsis.
I'm in Love with the Villainess is an isekai yuri, so it's a girl's love story. So right off the bat, yes, it is gay. Now that we're past that, it is a romance comedy about Rae Taylor, who was isekai'd into her favorite otome game, where the game itself, you were supposed to, have routes to fall in love with these three princes. Well, when she's there, she doesn't want to do that because she's in love with the villainess of the story named Claire Francois. And so throughout this whole shenanigans, she is trying to keep the princes away and try and pursue Claire. Lots of shenanigans happen, but there's actually a lot of real emotions and situations that happen that when I first read the story and was researching, had no idea about. So you get a little bit of everything. You get some comedy, you get some romance, you get some drama, you get some emotions, you get some tears, you get some shouts. It's a blast.
Which I must say, go on, Alex, go ahead.
No, I was going to throw a disclaimer. I have to confess that our last episode was with Lindsay Shepard, and who is the character for Claire.
I love her.
By that time, 1 week ago, I had no reason. I don't know why we hadn't seen this dub series. No idea why. It looks like sleep my list. I have no clue, because I knew I wanted to watch it. So after watching the episode, after recording with Lindsay, we decided to watch first episode, and we binge watched this series in less than 1 week. We make it to the point that we're like, damn it, we need to wait another week for the dub release.
Yep.
So for this time, we are ready to talk like never before, because it was a big surprise of series for us.
Yes. It's honestly a sleeper, if you ask me. Like, most people who have been around anime for a while, they go, ooh, isekai, or ooh, villainous. Nah, I'll pass. It's oversaturated. But really, It is so much more than your basic isekai or villainous story. It is, for those who like Ouran High School Host Club, it's got similar vibes, at least in my opinion, especially in the beginning or the first half of the season. So I am thoroughly enjoying it, which I'm sure you can tell with how much fun I have with Rae Taylor.
My God, I remember we were watching like since the first episode, and I just turned to Onyx and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this voice actress, we definitely have to get her on the show. We definitely have to talk to her because it's hilarious. Just the way that things are enunciated, things like the inflection of the words and everything. And we're like, I'm sure that this actress must have been having such a blast in the booth because that's how it sounds to us. So we're like, there we go. So tell us a bit about your character. Like, how has it been playing her?
It has been an enormous honor, pleasure, and just a treat to be able to voice her. Again, I didn't actually know about the series until I was cast in the show. And so I was like, oh, I got to do some research. What's the show about? What's this character about? And I didn't realize how amazing this character was and the opportunities. Like I said, her off the walls, just hyperactivity and just craziness is very similar to my own personality. So, you know, going from like, oh my God, up here to true love is something that I do in my daily life. You can ask my coworkers, my friends, my roommates. It's something I do quite often. So for me, it's second nature. But there are so many times when I play a character that there'll be bits and pieces that you can kind of see yourself in other characters. But nothing I've voiced so far has been so similar to myself. And so the director, Emily Fajardo, kind of just lets me loose and goes, all right, do your thing, and then kind of direct from there. And it's been so much fun. One of my favorites, actually, I think it's in episode 1 or 2. I think it's 1, where she's at the table and Claire goes, I challenge you to a test, and if you fail, you lose. And Rae Taylor just all of a sudden goes, yippee! And we were about to do the pass, and Emily goes, all right, let's just do this. I do it, and all of a sudden I just hear laughing in the booth. And she goes, I was going to rewrite that because I didn't think it was going to fit. But then you said it, and now I want to keep it. It's just those little isms that I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. This is a lot of fun. That has been so much fun to do it. But the director and the engineer, August Klein, who I've been working with, it is like getting together with your best friends and just joking and playing around, at least again for the funny parts. The last couple of episodes have not been just joking around. It's been actually a lot of very serious, emotional kind of tunneling, and which is, as an actor, nom, give it to me. Yes, I want to do that. So it's been fun to do both goofy and serious at the same time. But yeah, she's a gremlin, to say the least.
I'm a big fan of Slice of Life, like a big fan of Slice of Life. And when I saw the commercial, the trailer, I thought I was going to face something like Rae Alyea, where she has a main female strong character. And damn, I was so wrong in all aspects. She surprised me. And I love how Rae have that change of, I don't know if temperature in her role was just like serious, and she can go from something funny to serious and close the line with or something like François. And I hear like, how can you change from fast, slow, and super fast suddenly? Parkour.
Because it's something that I do in my everyday life, so it's very easy for me to do and just switch on and off. It's something I do, but actually there is intent behind a lot of those switches. For those who are fans of the light novel and have read the light novel, there's a lot of backstory in Rae's life that kind of seep through. So a lot of this joking around is a bit of a mask for her. And so it's like, oh, I'm funny, I'm goofy, ha 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 ha. I'm not hurting on the inside. And so, you know, the serious moments seep through here and there, but she tries to kind of pull up that wall of humor to kind of keep people at a distance. So it's it's something I do in my life, which may not be super healthy, but I do in my life, but it's also intentional for the story. So fingers crossed we get a season 2. I will be so sad if we don't get a season 2.
Which this is one of the moments when anime cross the line between fantasy and non-fantasy. There's some generation out there saying, "Oh, this whole fantasy, whole story, fairy tale," and I keep saying, anime many times they cross the line between fantasy and fairy tale to reality with some characteristics. And one of those characteristics that really take us. We didn't see that coming. Was on episode 3 when they're sitting down at the table, and I feel like I'm going to steal this answer from you.
Yes.
That conversation in the table, when it happened, Kiara and I will look ourselves to each other. We're like, "That's a life lesson over there." Like that, it is on the anime. She make it sound kind of anime, but in reality, that's an answer that can be explained at school in an educational book.
Right. That's when I really knew it was something special, right? Because, I mean, you can have the people and the fans who are like, oh my gosh, it got preachy all of a sudden. But there are so many shows, especially when it comes to LGBTQIA+, that when there is a romance of like the same gender or a queer relationship, that it's just not talked about. It's just kind of insinuated, and that's it. Which there is an importance of accepting it as something normal, but a lot of times, especially for something like this, to sit down and be like, "Hey, Rae, just to clarify, are you gay?" And she goes, "Yeah." And then even having a conversation between, does gender matter in attraction, and to even explain that, I was like, I'm sorry, this is an anime? This is an manga? What? From Japan? What? But we took a lot of time and care into that specific scene because we wanted to do it right. A lot of times in dubbing anime, it's very quick, it's very fast paced, like you don't have a lot of time to kind of really mull over a lot of the recording you do. But with this particular scene, we actually recorded Rae's lines twice. We went through, we're like, yeah, that's great. And then I came in on another day and we're like, you know what, let's listen to this. And if there's anything we want to redo, let's go ahead and like explore that. And then we did. And it went from like good to great. And so, and again, a lot of that goes to attest to Emily Fajardo's just passion. And I mean, she has the light novels and the manga with a bunch of little tabs in all of the pages just sitting in front of her desk at all times. So if we have to like rewrite or like change around the script to fit some lip flaps, she's like, you know what, let me look at the light novel, and just and pulls it right on open and like flips to the page. And it's like, whoa. So a lot of care and detail has gone into this dub. And so it's very nice to know that people are enjoying it and find it very good, because a lot of love and care has been put into this show.
Feel free to throw spoilers alert. I mean, spoilers. Throw spoilers. People enjoy spoilers at this point. I realize that people enjoy, so let's go anything.
But really, I'm just leaving you wanting more. So go watch the show. Right. Now also you kind of know what's happening in 3, but there's a better part. There's a thing called the King Game, which is one of my favorite scenes. So go watch it.
That's true.
That scene we're speaking about when they asked Rae if she's gay, for me hit me very hard, honestly, because the reaction from Claire is a reaction that me personally, I saw culturally back in the days, in the 95 to early 2000, when she, oh, I'm gay, and Claire's reaction is like, oh, I'm in danger. And I was like, that reaction was kind of cultural, and in Hispanic culture was very educated that, oh, you're gay, oh, I'm in danger because he's going to start hitting on me. And the counter response, it was academic response. I was like, that's so professional, academic, like it get goosebumps because I never see a response so educational like that. And this is what I keep saying, this anime start crossing the lines between fantasy and, yay, that's a life lesson here that we might all learn from here.
And almost the entire cast is LGBTQIA+. So we all relate to this in some way, shape, or form. And I mean, I grew up in a very religious, conservative household, so very similar that, like, you know, if you're gay, it's like, oh no, gotta stay away. And it's like, no. And just because I'm gay doesn't mean I'm attracted to you.
I'm gonna get a little
very cool.
Right. Exactly. I'm going to get a little political here because this is the type of thing that we need to see more of to make it, like you said, more mainstream, more culturally accepted, especially with what we see happening like in Florida, for example, where don't say gay bill. We can't talk about this. Let's ban everything that has any LGBTQIA representation in it. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're basically marginalizing and excluding an entire portion of the population. And what I see so beautiful about this anime is that not only did it take it at face value, and it's like, here it is, this is what's happened, this is the reality. Why would you be scared of that when it's just a normal everyday thing? You have your likes, I have my likes. Mm-hmm. They're just different.
Exactly. And just because you're straight doesn't mean that you can't be creepy either.
Most
of the uncomfortable situations that I've had have been from a man and a woman or someone femme presenting. Like, just because someone is queer doesn't mean that all of a sudden, oh, they're grooming, or, oh my God, like, I'm in danger. Like, you're right. It's very important to have that. And, you know, there's so many people, myself including, that I wish I had that, like, to watch or to, like, have that representation to be able to connect to when I was growing up, because it wasn't something so readily available. If anything, it was very much looked down on and like, oh. And now with the rise of anime being very popular, because when I was growing up, it wasn't as cool. Maybe Dragon Ball Z-ish, but like, it was like, oh, you're a nerd? Ugh.
You're the weird kid.
Like, yeah, I'm a nerd. I like anime and stuff. But
when you go to shopping, hot topic? Yeah.
But like the rise of anime being more popular, I feel like a lot of more people are seeing and watching things. So like having this kind of a conversation in anime is really important. Whether or not you are queer, I think it's important to be able to look through that lens. But again, it's because I'm a part of that community. I have so many friends who are near and dear to me that, like, this story is beautiful in that sense of so much exploration. And this is, again, it's very topical in the first season, but if we get a second season, there's so much more that they kind of dig into in both Rae's backstory before she was in this world, as well as some of the characters who are in the story that we've already been introduced to, but we get more of their backstory and more representation from the queer community. And it's so wonderful.
And I had to add to everything you said, that this series, because have gay and lesbian topic, doesn't mean that the series is exclusive for gay people. I will say that I had never felt that temperature or whatever you could call it, that say, oh, this is a series for gay people. Oh, this is a series for lesbian. No, I will tell you this. I will say this rare series like that, but this one, which is the latest one I have seen, doesn't, because the main characters are lesbian, doesn't feel like that has to be for LGBT community exclusively. I would say very open more open than many other series,
right?
To be honest.
I mean, because I'm queer, does that mean that any relationship or any like romance movie or series that isn't queer isn't for me?
Exactly.
No, I can enjoy that. I'm here to enjoy a story. And anyone else, it's a good story. Doesn't matter if you're queer or straight. Like, this story is wonderful, and funny and hilarious and sad and like heartache, but also anger, and it's just a mix of emotions. It's a roller coaster. Come join us.
Definitely. Before we move to the next anime series, which is the first line from Rae that you enjoy that made you laugh, like a funny moment? The first one that crossed your mind, because there's a lot of lines over there.
There's so many though.
The first one.
The first one of my favorite is just from like the delivery itself. It was actually from episode 3 in the Kim Gang, where it's, "Oh, destiny takes a hand." Is one of my favorites for comedy purposes. But I do think the conversation in episode 3 is, there are some of those lines that are so important, and some of my favorites because of being a part of that conversation. So, when she says, when Lene is like, "Oh, so you're just saying that the person you love just so happens to be a girl," and Ray's like, no, like gender matters. I will never fall in love with a man, and just because I like women doesn't mean that I like every woman. Like, the attraction still applies. And like, I understand that love is love, but that's not what I'm attracted to. And so having that difference, instead of making it very generic of like, yeah, that's just the person I love is a different gender. She's like, no, very specifically, I am a lesbian. I will never be attracted to a man. I like women. And that, I think, is so impactful. And as somebody who loves comedy, I love comedy. So there's so many of those lines I love. I think those particular lines are some of my favorite because they're so impactful.
And honestly, that was a very memorable speech. Like in my recent years, or in the recent years for right now, that's like one of my top most memorable speeches. I'm gonna say the other one would be from the Barbie movie and the start, and in the end too. And I'm like, these speeches. Like I'm still saying, like whenever we saw that episode, Onyx and I were like, no, people have to know this. People have to learn from this because it's just so good.
Well, and even the follow-up afterwards of her, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gay," and then she just kind of laughs it off and goes, "Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's the same. Like, I just want things to stay the same because as soon as I try to do something for myself, things change and it happens." So like you start to see the shakiness behind that happy mask, which I think a lot of us kind of wear to hide what's going on behind, and it just it's so good.
And that moment, Misha wrap it up with it's not exactly this line, but she wrap it up with something saying like, "I see that this is not very simple to answer. It's not like a straight answer of gray, black and gray, or black and white. One of those lines. It's just it's not a simple answer." So I'm like, epic, academic.
Exactly.
A+.
Yep. Mic drop, or in this case, they were drinking tea. Teacup drop. I'm like,
I'm talking about Tea Drop, one other series where
you even drop the cup.
Going from the fancy academy to the little bit more mountain, talking about laid back camp, Saint Cecilia, where you had the main role.
No, you're mixing them. I'm sorry, you're mixing them. Aoi Inuyama.
In Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence, I was Saint Cecilia, but I was a character called Aoi Inuyama in Laid Back Camp, which is a series that came out in 2018, which is very popular. For those who don't know, it's about these girls in high school who end up doing winter camping and kind of falling in love with the outdoors. So if you ever wanted like an anime that is lo-fi, that's Laid Back Camp. It is the most cozy, wonderful, cutesy, with some really good comedy punchers in there, like that I've really ever seen. It's so wonderful. The soundtrack is fantastic, and it's very, very good. We'll see if they let us dub the second season in the movie, because the third season's on the way. But it's top notch. Highly recommend that one if those who are looking for cozy anime.
And something that really caught my attention was the scenes on the trailer. When you guys saw the trailer, I guess like, whoa, they put a lot of details on those background scenes, which they look relaxing. I'm a person who doesn't love the city. I go to the city, I feel that I need to fly out of it.
Yeah.
This anime, like, whoa, just look at a very detox anime. So, what would be one of your favorite scenes from this series?
Ooh. There's an episode, I'm trying to think, it might be like 5 or 6, I'm not sure, where the three girls from the camping club, Nadeshiko, Chiaki, and Aoi, they go on their first little camping adventure with the outdoor club. And there's a bunch of shenanigans that ensue. You know, they go into a hot spring, like, this will be great. And they're like, we'll get to the campsite early. It'll be great. They fall asleep. They start freaking out. They're like, oh my God, we wasted time. And then they go to the campsite and they're like cooking. And there's this one moment where they're like, we're going to make this like Roman candle or whatever kind of campfire, where it's like the wood that's clumped together and you tie it together so that you just have a little fire that seeps through the top so you can, you know, cook like a pot of stew on top. And they're all sitting around this as it's lit, and they're like, this is great. And all of a sudden it just collapses and everyone just goes, ah! And so that kind of stuck with me. It's just wonderful. It's just a nice little surprise. It's very much the anime. You're like, wow, this is so relaxing, the music. And then all of a sudden it's like, ugh! It's a big jolt. So it's such a wonderful and cute anime.
Something that really caught my attention from this series. I mean, again, I only seen the trailers. I haven't watched it yet. Probably by next week I watch already all of it. But I feel that lately, anime house production, they're using background scenes for real image. Like when you see this series many times, I've seen real picture of Mount Fuji.
Yep.
Mount Fuji. Spanglish, Monte Fuji. And when you see this animation, you can see the difference. That it's a real picture where they just add some magic filter when they use.
No, actually, they will take reference photos and use those reference photos and then draw and paint the background. There are so many times where I have, because I studied abroad in Japan and I've been there a couple of extra times as well, where I've like walked down streets and went, swear I've seen this in an anime, or like how things are so very accurate is because they'll take pictures and they will put those straight in there. Not the pictures themselves, but they will use that picture and go reference straight from that photo, which is uncanny, but kind of cool.
This is a side note, but the same thing has happened to me. Like, yes, we got we have the anime in which actually, if you actually look for in the internet, there are a lot of videos where they're like, okay, here's the scene in the anime, here's the scene in real life. It's so similar. But the same thing has happened to me with Grand Theft Auto. I love those games. But the thing is, like, so they'll take place in New York, they'll take place in Miami, they'll take place in California, like in Hollywood and things like that. And every time they do the shots, like movies or series, I'm like, I've been there. I've driven through there. I've done things like, what?
I hijacked a car and then drove down the wrong street over here.
Exactly. I went over 5 bodies. That place. But
yeah, I had the same feeling where I work, which is in the capital. The only problem that all the references are from an action movie. Olympus go down, White House go down. All those action movies are like, I don't like those references. I might be in the wrong place.
It's very uncanny. I used to be a flight attendant, so I've traveled all over the world. And you'd go to these places and you're like, it's weird seeing it from like media and then in person. Huh.
It's like a deja vu kind of moment too.
It really is, though. It really is.
I thought you were going to say something like your name, Weathering with You, that they use a lot of reference, or the new one, Suzume. And she's like, no, I seen it in GTA. And I'm like, oh, jeez. Like, she's about to say, oh, the new GTA in Florida, we see the alligator running.
Which I might say Floridians are saying that it's too accurate. It's they got represented way too accurately. I'm like, oh, I want to play this now.
As well.
Hannah,
I've only spent short stints in Florida, so I cannot say, that's totally it. But I trust.
That's where we met.
Florida people when they say it's accurate.
We spent 6 months over there, so yeah. But Hannah, did they ever answer why winter camping in the cold weather? Like that's something I will never do.
The main character, Reen, is an introvert. She doesn't like people, so she goes winter camping because that's when other people don't go camping. so that she can just experience the atmosphere, and the camping is kind of a zen for her. So that's why she normally goes winter camping, because it's when other people aren't there and she can just enjoy the nature for what it is.
Makes sense. Will you do that?
We've actually talked about it. Some of my voiceover friends here, I was talking with my friend Ryan Negron, and we were like, we gotta do our laid back camping, and like we gotta go out. But I think we might wait more towards spring, so that way it's not quite too cold, because I get a little grumpy in the cold weather. So I'm not gonna go full force winter camping, but maybe spring camping.
And I'm just here thinking hypothermia all around. Why not?
I'm here like, why do we want to leave Nat Geo hiking Himalaya mountain where they're like sleeping with those masks? Oxygen, it's super cold, 20 degrees outside. I'm like,
no, that's not for me. That's not for me.
I will last only 1 hour with everything. Like, you know what? It's time to wrap up. Let's go back to.
Oh no, I wouldn't even get out of the van. I'm like, nah, it's too warm in here. Take me back home.
We saw it. It's pretty. Let's go back.
Yeah. Oh look, I saw it. Let's go back now.
But let's go to something more warmer. So one of the latest series this year, Reborn as a Vending Machine, and I Now Wonder Dungeon, where you had the role of Shui.
Yes, Shui, our lovable little garbage disposal archer, where she, again, that was the part of me that I'm like, I see you. I love food, and you do too. So that was a really fun series. That was one of the first times I got to work with Chris George, who's also the director for Spy Family as well. And so that was kind of a fun series to be a part of. Like a vending machine isekai. I mean, what's next? Where are the limits of isekais?
There are none.
We
right?
I think we talked about this with Marisa Duran. Did I say it right, Kara? Marisa
Yeah,
Duran?
she's also, or they're also in that anime as well.
And we were saying that I would love to see a isekai as a barista. So we can hear all those stories.
I am a barista.
We're here just going over your
I'm
resume.
living born as a barista life right now.
Like, here, flight attendant, I was barista. We're going to keep going down the list.
You name it, I've probably done it. I have a resume that rules out the door.
I mean, it would be great because you know how many stories a barista in the after hour with people who drink, like you will be hearing all spicy story or story or you know what. Who knows what?
Oh, no, that's where I was earlier today. I've been up since 5 a.m. because I opened up at the coffee shop I work at. So, like, yeah. I spill the real tea. Not the gossip tea, but the hot tea.
But when you want to go like a little bit naughty, just add the Irish cream or some real alcohol. You know what?
No, I can't do that. I get fired.
I mean, in the isekai, you can. No here.
I pay bills. I can't get fired like that. I'll do that on my own time. I'll put it in my own tea, at my own house. Nah.
By the way, we never done this. In case any HR people looking at us, we never done this. We promise we'll never do it.
I denied all accusations. I'm fine.
There you go. But okay, so what do you like most about this interesting isekai? We should break it the limit, the frontier of.
I was actually really surprised with some of the real, like, normal issues that they talked about. Like, I thought it was like, it's gonna be a fantastical whatever, but they actually talked a lot about very normal things and solutions to those things. Like, very weird. Part of it is like they're talking about like breeding season for some of these specific animals, and so this vending machine turns into a condom vending machine. And there's a scene about talking about that, but they talk about it in a very scientific, logical manner. Like, so it'll prevent like people from getting sick and things like that. And they're like, yeah, it wasn't like weird, if that makes sense. Like, obviously people are gonna go, oh my gosh, we're talking about sex. But it was in a very like matter-of-fact way that I was actually kind of intrigued. I was like, I've never had an anime just kind of lay it all out like that. Interesting. So, and that was not the only time, but there was like several moments that was very much like, here's a logical explanation, and And here's an actual vending machine in Japan that they have that disperses this item. And I'm like, all right, interesting. This is pretty cool. So I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. So I was pleasantly surprised. Now I will make this very clear. I enjoy any anime that I can be a part of. Like, I love to be in the group. But let's be honest, anime is anime sometimes, and you just sit there and go, what's going on? What's going on? Okay.
That was my reaction right now.
Yeah,
it turned into a vending machine that gave out columns like, what? What did I miss? I still haven't watched it. It's in my watch list, but I'm like intrigued.
No, there's this episode, and I remember that episode. And true story, this happened to me. It's funny just saying this because it happened to me last week. So in another podcast from Puerto Rico, there's a situation in Puerto Rico, one of the Tao Island, Vieques. You want to look more for it, where they were in the news last week because the STD rate is out of control in the island, Tao Island. That they have a big. I'm not going to say the name, but I will tell you later. But just it's on the news that it's out of control. The STD transmission
the
over there.
spreading of STDs and all of that.
So one of the guys like, so it looks like this guy, they never knew about protection. They never went to school. They just knew how we solve the problem. Can you just take a vending machine with the condoms and put it over there? And I hear like, yep, just like vending machine, the isekai. Like,
exactly.
Watch anime, but and it was the same approach. They have an infection in the town. How they solve it? Using protection. And the guy here like, hey, how we solve the issue? Using protection.
Exactly.
People
it was very logical, very like, here's how it goes. There you go. And they're like, huh. And then they just move on. And you're like, huh. I didn't expect that, but all right, let's go.
I mean, at this point, they were talking about, we need to bring more medicine right now, but they have a kind of shortage in that town island. But let's talking about less biology and science. Let's go to the.
I'm gonna pause right here real quick. I'm gonna pause right here because we've been talking about all these things. I'm just here like cracking up so much so that like I'm hurting. I'm like here trying to like hide it. Like, oh my god, like I'm hurting.
Today, don't forget to warm them up. We don't want any Charlie horses in the face.
How do you call it?
That's what a cramp is called, and I learned that. So, okay, this is a side note. I didn't know what a Charlie horse was until
that's new to me.
Right, until my students pointed out, like, so that's a Charlie horse. I'm like, what? A Charlie horse? I'm like, okay, here's where the cultural differences start, or boundaries, because I don't know what you're
Charlie.
What?
Why are we calling it a horse? Is it Charlie or is it horse? I don't know.
Do you know the story about that?
I don't. I have no idea. It is just something within the culture, and someone goes, you have a Charlie horse. And I go, I guess it's called a Charlie horse. And then that's just what you call it for the rest of your life. And you have no idea why it's called that.
Can I hear like, why Charlie horse? Like, what happened?
And now I have something to Google when we are done.
One of the morning.
The two things were Charlie horse and Irish twins. I was like, what are you talking about?
I don't think I get one, so you're good.
There's one of those, 1 in the morning, I can't go to sleep. I need to go to sleep. Charlie horse. Charlie horse. What is Charlie horse?
Yep.
3 in the morning. Damn it. Brain, shut down already. Charlie horse.
Oh, mine doesn't ever sleep. I am an ADHD-fueled, dyslexic, blue-haired individual. I never sleep.
Hey, man, you were too. But talking about a story, how Hannah Alyea. Hannah.
Okay. You can just call me Hannah. That's okay. Forget the last name. It's too hard to pronounce.
Miss Alyea made it to the anime voice dubbing.
I'm sorry. Wait, what was the question? I just blanked for 2 seconds because I was so focused on like the last name that I didn't hear the question.
It was gonna be ADHD strikes again.
Yes.
I get you. Like, it happens to me all the time. So I'm like, wait, come back.
Let's talk now about your story. How did you make it to the anime world as a voice actor?
Yes, my origin story. I like to say that I am a failed adult. That is how we got here. That is the short end of the story. The long story is I've been an actor since I was very little. And as soon as I realized when I was very little that I couldn't be the crocodile hunter, I was like, okay, I guess I'll be an actor. And so I had done acting through high school and then some through college. And then in college, I decided, I was like, oof, I don't know if this acting is going to pay the bills and pay these loans. I should probably get an adult job. And so that's when I transferred schools to the University of Minnesota. And my degree is Asian Literatures and Language with an emphasis in Japan. So I speak some Japanese because I heard it was easier to become a flight attendant if you knew a second language. And so that's what was my intent. I was like, I want to travel, but how does a poor person travel? Get into the travel industry. So that was my plan for an adult job. I graduated in 2017, and then I applied and got hired with Delta Airlines in 2018. And I flew with them up until the pandemic. But during that time, when I started flying for the first, 6 months, it was fun. But I was like, man, I really miss acting. How do I do acting when I'm never home? I can't do stage productions or on-camera stuff because I'm not home. And that's kind of where I fell into this voice acting, specifically voice acting, because I was like, oh my goodness, I could take a microphone with me and make booths in the hotel rooms where I go. And the initial reason why I had decided to pursue Japanese instead of acting is because the actors were very cliquey. You had to be a certain way to hang out with them, and I hated that. I was like, I don't want to be somebody else to hang out with you. Like, I am this hyperactive goofball, and I don't want to try to pretend to be someone else. And so when I started looking into the voice acting, and I found out that it's not about what you look like. It's sometimes it's not even about the gender that you are, that you can voice whatever you're able to kind of portray through your voice, as long as you can act the character. And I went, oh my gosh. And these voice actors are some of the nicest people and the most humble people I have ever met. Because guess what? It's not about your looks. So if you're an asshole, people don't have to work with you. They'll find somebody else to do the job. So a lot of the people in the industry who are very talented are also just very humble and very grounded people. And those were the kind of actors I wanted to hang out with and I wanted to be. So once I found voice acting, I'm like, wow, this is what I was looking for in the first place. This is the acting I should have been pursuing. And so from then I pursued voice acting that way. I mean, with my whole flight benefits, there was a 12-week period where I was based in Minneapolis, Minnesota in the United States. And I would take Sundays and I would take the first flight from Minneapolis to LA, and I would take an Uber down to West Hollywood, and I would take a voiceover class. And then after that class was over, I would Uber my way back to the airport, and then I would take the overnight flight back to Minnesota. And so within 24 hours, I would go from Minnesota to LA back to Minnesota so that I could fly on Monday and do my schedule. I did that for about 12 weeks because I could.
Tired?
So it was really fun to be able to pursue voice acting and use my flight benefits to do both. But how I landed in Texas is Crunchyroll and a lot of other smaller studios are based in Dallas. And it is much cheaper to live here than LA. And since I'm like, I am still training, I am still working to be a better actor, it might be better to be in Texas to train, because then it's a little easier to survive in the meantime, because as a lot of artists know, they call it starving artist for a reason. can't be a starving artist if you're not starving. And so
I don't know if you can laugh about that.
Try Texas. Go there, see what we can do. I know that there's still a lot of opportunity out there that I can, start to chomp on and see what I can do out there. And then the pandemic hit. And so I isolated for about 2 years, didn't get to go much of anywhere. It was very frustrating, but now within the past year and a half, I've been able to actually have a community of voice actors, of just some incredible people, both in talent and just as individuals. And I found my way into Crunchyroll for anime and ended up getting my first named role in Laid Back Camp. And ever since then, I've just kind of been doing the thing. And I have a lot of wonderful people to thank for giving me the opportunity and a chance to even show what I can do. And I am forever grateful for people like Jade Saxton and Emily Fajardo for giving me these kinds of opportunities, because without them, I wouldn't be able to kind of do what I'm doing right now, at least in the anime kind of corner of what's going on. But a lot of it was training. And then you were given an opportunity and that training kind of kicks in. So long story long, I like to say that I am a failed adult. I tried to do the adult thing. It didn't work. But then that's when I realized acting is something that I can't not do. Like, I tried to not do it and that didn't work out so well, because here I am not making the adult money and pursuing acting instead. But I don't regret it. I left Delta Airlines in 2022 because I was on leave. So I wasn't actually flying since 2020. And I left it, and I made that decision of like, this is probably a very poor financial decision, but it was the decision because I felt like I needed to physically be here in Texas. And I don't regret it, because I have had some very good experiences and amazing opportunities that I wouldn't have been given otherwise. So I feel very grateful.
And you consider making like a comedy show? You threw some punchline over there that I'm like, I want to laugh, but I have a camera in front of me, and I don't know if this is the right moment to laugh about it. Like,
who says you can't laugh? You can't laugh about, well, you can laugh freely about my life. I don't care. If I can't laugh about my life, then is it really worth it? You can't take yourself too seriously.
No, I love this story. I'm laughing here, like, what? And I'm like, that's funny. Can I laugh about it? Like, can I just turn off the camera for a second? I'm going to get in trouble here, but that's great. I mean, technically, I was asked about flight attendants. Would you consider it in the future? But technically, I feel like you can make it back anytime, right? Because that's a market that.
I mean, if I really wanted to, I probably could. I definitely think that that's a chapter of my life that's closed. It was one of my favorite jobs. Like, I loved that job. I mean, I had a captive audience for the entirety of the flight. They were stuck with me. So, it was a great time to work on improv, to see how jokes land, to kind of poke around. I am an extrovert. So I was like, you think that I'm stuck with you, but really it's the other way around. You're stuck with me now. There was even one time where we were in an older plane. And, you have to say the safety demo. There's a person in the back who's talking on the phone while the other flight attendants are doing their little demonstration. And I sat there and was like, hello, and welcome to flight 1845 with service to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and did the whole safety demo like Barbie. My cheeks hurt again, but I kept watching the flight attendants to see if they'd crack. It was great. So I would do shenanigans like that all the time.
That's awesome. So before we wrap it up, one of your unique odds role, and thinking about Spy X Family, when you have two roles.
Yes.
Three.
Owner of the dog and a cat.
It's the cat and the cat's owner are the named roles that I have in there. And they're just in one episode. But it was a lot of fun. I got to be the cat and I got to be the owner. So when I made the announcement, I took a picture of the owner holding the cat and I'm like, look, I got to be both of them. It was kind of fun. But in one of the most recent episodes that dropped, I think it was either last week or the week before, there's also a little white dog, and it just yips. And I just got to do that, and that's fun. So now I'm like, I got to be a dog and a cat and a person in Spy Family. So I'm all about it. The director was just like, hey, is there anybody who could do like a little yappy dog? And I looked around, I was like, I could do it. So I go in there and do the little yap, and he just kind of goes, oh my gosh. And I was like, I got you. And so we just laughed every time it came out there. So yes, I'm a cat, a dog, and the owner. But it's the owner of the cat, not the dog.
I'm agreeing everything today.
Kopi, and the owner is named Cacey. So it's Cacey and Kopi. The dog that's just an extra. That's like a bonus episode down the line.
Let me see if I fix it, because I was about to leave one of the other series I wanted to talk today. I feel like this is one of the most darker series that you work in. Talking about Handyman Saitou in Another World, where you had the role of Raichee.
Yes, I played
They
Raichee.
finally didn't screw up this one.
In Another World. It was a bit of a darker. That one was kind of a fun comedy though too. It was a very weird. The format of that anime, I don't see that very often. But my character was not dark, was not serious. Yeah. She's like Valley Girl, California, kind of like, are we like done with this yet? Because I just want to go home is kind of her attitude. And it was great. I got to work with Mike McFarland, and he's wonderful. So that was kind of a fun experience. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. That show was a lot of fun.
And it really surprised me, because when I see the trailers, I see the combination of comedy, good, beautiful animation, but at the same time, still a little bit of gore, or a little bit of blood extra. I'm like, whoa, I know you used to see that blood.
It's got jokes in there too, so it is not for kids. There are definitely some adult jokes in that one. But if you want more of a family-friendly one, Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence is all fluff, and I love that show. That was actually my first lead character. Thank you, Jade Saxton. That was last season, and it's so cute. It's so adorable, and it's so pretty to look at. And she's just so cute. She's a little gremlin too, but she's adorable.
What is the anime about?
The anime is about a lady saint named Cecilia who is taken in by a pastor named Lawrence. And in this world, lady saints are there to protect like the cities that they're in and protect those around them. Well, it's a bit of like a romance comedy. So she is in love with Lawrence, but Lawrence, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get that she likes him. And so it's her going, oh my gosh, Lauren, don't I look cute today? He goes, yeah, I guess you look fine. And she's like, that's it. So it's a lot of that kind of back and forth that's really funny. But then there's always those little cute moments kind of sprinkled in. And it was a lot of fun. It was a bit of a challenge at first too, because she has a very high voice. She's a little more up here, and I have a more naturally lower voice. So that was a challenge within itself, but so much fun. And she's so cute. And the show it's all fluff, and I love it. I love it a lot.
Wait, the first time I see this anime, so Cecilia is in love with the pastor?
Yep.
Ooh.
That's exactly it.
Adding it to the list right now.
Like slice of life, this is a good one to watch.
And we're like, whoa, this is my drama. Sorry, Mom. But Hannah, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Before we wrap it up, any words of advice for those who are considering joining the voice acting career?
Yes. Don't be a dick. That's it. Don't be a dick.
That's in life.
It's life, but there are a lot of people, and maybe this is with the rise of social media. I don't know. I'm a millennial. Yes, I was born and raised before the internet. you're welcome. You now know that I am an old fart, at least in that way. For the younger ones that are listening.
Hell no. Doesn't matter we use LimeWire or you use dial-up.
Exactly. I know what that noise sounds like. You all don't know what slow internet is.
That's true.
The internet on disk, AOL.com. With the
Messenger or MSN Messenger, MySpace, Evo, like all of that jazz. But
Neopets.
Social media, there's a lot of attention on voice actors now. A lot of it was voice actors were unknown. People didn't really know who was voicing it. It was just actors doing their thing. And so now there's a lot of limelight on voice actors, and there's conventions to go to, and I think a lot of people want the fame that's involved with voice acting, or they just want to be in anime, and that's not going to get you very far. That'll give you an ego that people don't want to be around. So be a human, make real connections, and don't be a dick. There's always room for new people. There is always room for others to have roles and things to do, whether it be video games, commercials, anime, animation. There's always room for more people, but not if you're an asshole. So just be kind. Treat others how you want to be treated, and don't treat interactions like a business transaction. Be a real person, and that will get you really far.
I don't want to throw you into a fire or bring drama to the extra level, but I'm surprised there's people who are like with that attitude when they're just starring on the voice acting.
It can happen. I've definitely seen it happen here and there, and it can be a dangerous place to be. So make sure that you're pursuing acting because it's something that you want to do, rather than you're chasing it for the fame or because you want to be like a famous influencer or something like that. I'm not saying there isn't, that's not something you can't want to be, but don't expect to get fame and fortune from voice acting, because it's a long road. It's a marathon, not a race, right? Like there is a lot of training involved. There is a lot of work that needs to be done. And if you think it's a get rich quick or a get famous quick, that's not it. And the good and more like the prolific voice actors do it because they love acting. And that's where it should all be rooted, because voice acting is acting. It's not about the voices. It's about what kind of characters you can act and then bring forward from that. And yeah, the voice might change that, but if you don't know the character themselves, you're not going to be able to act it properly. So train, be nice, make human connections, and most importantly, I'll say this real close so you can hear, don't be a dick. End of story.
I was waiting for it.
And if you're not a voice actor and you don't want to pursue voice acting, guess what? I have a rule for you too. Don't be a dick. It'll get you really far.
For real, apply that rule to
everything.
To life. Apply the rule to life. Hannah,
and
thank
tip
you
your
so
servers. Or your baristas in that case.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Where people, non-dick people, can follow you on social media?
You can follow me on pretty much every social media except for TikTok, because I'm afraid I'm going to get addicted. Just with my first and last name at Hannah Alyea. Alyea spelled Alyea. Just think, oh yeah, and you'll spell it correctly. But I'm most active on Twitter for voiceover, so that's where you'll see a lot of the updates on there. Instagram is more personal, I guess, but that's my most active one. If you ever want to lurk or find out what I'm doing, Twitter's the place to go. But you can find me anywhere at Hannah Alyea.
And like always, guys, you can go down to the description of this video, leave your comment, question, reaction, anything, and see in the description all Hannah link to her social media. Just one drop, expand the description, click on the link, boom, you're there already. And because you already expand the description, You have something else, Hannah?
Yes. What's right by that description box is also going to be a subscription box. Like, subscribe. You should subscribe. They're cool people. Just do it. If you haven't done it yet, you can think about it for like 2 seconds. Okay, now you're done thinking. Go hit that subscribe button. And while you're thinking about it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. And if you're really cool, you'll leave a comment.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you in the next episode. Sayonara.
Bye.
Toodaloo!